morning, everybody. Welcome to another Stand Together. Jump on, say good morning if you're watching this live, watching a replay. Hi, hope you guys are enjoying watching all these replays on whatever platform you're watching on. But of course, come and join us live if you can, 8 a.m. on Instagram here, and we're hanging out for Stand Together. Jump on, say hi. Good morning. Welcome to Saturday morning. Hope you guys are all doing super well. Jump on and say good morning. Good to see everybody jumping on. And remember, if you've got a different handle, let me know your name so I can say hi. Hey, Inga. Hey, Mia. Hey, Chris. Hey, Nelly. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Laura. Jump on and give me a good morning. Hey, Bina. Hey, Boris. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Mandy. Hey, jump on, say good morning. Welcome to another Stand Together, and welcome to Saturday morning. Mel, good to see ya. Welcome to a Saturday morning. Welcome, Naomi. How you going over there? Hope it's nice and sunny for you guys too. Ty, good to see you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another Stand Together. Jump on, say good morning. Sue's good to see you. Hey, how you going? Got a good one for you today. Jump on, give me a good morning, and let me know you're ready to rock and roll. Julie, good to see you. Welcome. Jump on and welcome to another Stand Together. Listen, I hope you've been enjoying these Stand Togethers. You've been taking some level of action. You're kind of working out something from one thing I'm teaching and saying, okay, I can use that here. Taking a level of action. That's what this is about. This is not just about listening in. Of course, it's about listening in to feel that motivation, the energy, and the drive. But it's also about taking a couple of things down. So, okay, what can I do with that? Whether I'm in lockdown, whether I'm not, whether I'm thriving in my business and things are growing massively, or whether you are affected by COVID. Because we have both things happening right now. We've got people that are doing really well, and we've got people that are challenged right now. I know that's part of what we're seeing right around the place, right? Hey, Sam, good to see you. Hey, Jennifer, good to see you. Hey, so many of you guys joining, jump on, give me a good morning, great to see you. But this is about making sure that you can control what you can and implement what you can as well. Hey, Yasmina, good to see you. Hey, VJ, good to see you. That's what this is about. Stand together every morning, 8 a.m., making sure that you're implementing the things that you can and controlling the things you can control as well. So today, as you all jumping on and give me some good mornings and welcome to another Stand Together. Today, I want to talk to you about, and I talked a little bit about money a little while back with you guys, but what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about numbers. Now, I know it's a Saturday morning, but you're going to have to talk about numbers, right? So here's what I mean by numbers. Right now, it's always important to do this, right? But I think right now, even more important for people that are in business is there's certain numbers you just need to know and you need to understand about your business in order to be able to make the right decisions and be able to move yourself and be able to move your businesses forward, right? So let me give you a couple of things of what I'm talking about. So one of the things I want you to get really familiar with in your business is knowing your general numbers of things, right? So I'm gonna roll off a couple of general numbers for you, right? So say, for example, you need to know if you're selling a product or a service, right? So you'd be selling one of the two. What are your cost of goods, right? For you to deliver that. So let's say you're a gardener, and you go and mow a lawn and you get paid $80 to mow that lawn or $150 to mow that lawn. Then you got to think about, okay, what's my cost of goods? What does it cost me for the petrol in my mower? What does it cost me for my human, but the time for somebody, that people show up, when they show up and they're there for the hour, how much does it cost you to, how much you pay them in salary? That's called cost of goods. So in your business, one thing you need to get really familiar with is what's the cost of goods for whatever you do, whether it's a core product that you have or a core service that you have. What is your cost of good, right? Then you've got on top of those cost of goods, so you can start to work out your gross margin. Your gross margin is how much you make after you take into consideration what it costs you to deliver on that service or that good. Then you got to take out operational costs, and you get down to a net, right? To a profit margin, which is how much you make before tax, right? So what I'm saying to you is that if any of this is going, oh my gosh, numbers on a Saturday morning, good. I hope it hurts, because you need to know your numbers, right? So if you're in a cafe, you got to know. Don't give me I think it's about 50 cents a cup. Like, how much does it actually cost you to produce that latte? What does it cost you to be able to sell that sandwich? So my real encouragement for you right now, whether you're growing massively right now, or whether you are in kind of survival mode right now, you've got to know your numbers. And here's one of the reasons why you've got to understand your numbers. Actually, I'll tell you a few more numbers, but I'll tell you why. So cost of goods. That's an important one to know. Your margin, your gross margins, your profit margins, they're important ones to understand as well in your business. What's your break even? What's your break even? What do you have to make every week to kind of break even? What's your break even? To pay the bills and to pay staff and keep the lights on. What are those kind of things? You got to understand those. Yeah, I love maths. You've got to understand those, right? So what I'm saying today, right, is just know numbers. What's your closing ratio? I was speaking to somebody the other day, and they were doing some marketing, and they were generating a bunch of leads. I said, hey, well, what's your closing ratio? They said, I'm not too sure. I'm like, come on. What's your closing ratio? You're going to know it in your business. If you're a solopreneur, it's pretty easy to say, okay, when somebody comes to my website, I know my bounce rate, I know my abandoned cart rate, I know my closing ratio. If 100 people go to my website, this is what happens. Because if I was to say to you, hey, I can, you could go to an influencer and I can give you a shout out and get 100 people to go to your website. If you know 5% of those will convert into buying something from you and the average sale is $200, you know that if you get a shout out from somebody that can get 100 people to go to your website, you can make 5 times 200, $1,000. Gross, not net, gross. So you got to know your numbers. You got to know your numbers, because once you know your numbers, right, you can start to play around a lot more with what you do in your business. What's the offer you want to put on? Because here's the thing, right? That's what I was about to get to. Right now, people are either growing and scaling their business, or they're trying to survive and find ways they can go because they're in a lockdown or whatever it may be. You can survive a lockdown. Listen to me. You can survive a lockdown when your business has been is being massively affected. If you start to think about what is going to drive revenue in, but what is good revenue right now, because there's products and services you can sell out there. You can discount stuff and sell stuff. You can sell stuff 2 for 1 or give them an extra this for that, but you've got to understand the net impact of that. In other words, you could go out there and sell a product for $50 that makes you $25. You could go out there and sell a service for $30 that makes you $20. You can make better net profit from selling a service potentially, or maybe in a product. You can make more money from something you sell cheaper because your margin might be more higher, right? So you might think, this is pretty basic. People should know this. They really should. But I've done some pretty large consulting before for some pretty big businesses, and they haven't known this. They haven't known their margins. They've been selling products. They've been doing a lot of top line sales. That means money coming in the business, top line in your P&L, and they've not been growing their net margin. So you've got to know your numbers. What's your closing ratio? What is your margin on your products and your services? What is your average? What is your average your average spend? So when people come into your store, they go online, they call you up, however you sell, whatever you sell, you've got to know your averages, because if you don't know your averages, all you're doing is going, let's do a marketing campaign. Yep, let's make it about this product. Okay, let's post on Facebook. Let's go and tell the sales team. It doesn't work that way, right? It doesn't work that way. You've got to know your numbers. Now in a crisis more than ever before, you've got to know your numbers. What are your numbers? What is the best way for you to know your numbers? How can you work it out? I always say sit with your accountant, sit with your bookkeeper, get them to explain it. If you are going to, YouTube things, just make sure you're doing it in your country, because every country has different accounting calculations than the other. Every country has a little bit different the way they account things, so make sure that you are. But it's about knowing your numbers, right? So I just want to talk to you about knowing your numbers. What's your close ratio in your business? If you've got sales teams, what are their close ratios? What is it costing you to generate a lead? What does it cost for you to be able to buy a customer? For a customer to walk into your store, to call you up on the phone? There's a cost to that, right? What does it cost you in marketing to do that? Listen, if you understand your numbers, and you understand how to make money in those numbers, you feel confident then in saying, I'm going to start spending more money on something. Listen, I'll put it to you this way. if you really know your numbers and you know what makes you money, and you're down and out right now because of the challenges with COVID, you might feel confident to go and get a loan or go and take money out of your mortgage and go and put something against your credit card to go and do a promotion for $10,000 on marketing spend in a month, because you know it's going to return you $50,000 in sales. And those $50,000 in sales are worth $25,000. It's a 50% net to you. So you pay off your 10, you're left with 15. You pay off your 10, you're left with 15. Okay, happy days. Now I got $15,000 to play with. You might want to reinvest more then into that, right? You get a chance to invest more into that. So this is about understanding, right? This is about understanding what specifically numbers, what are you doing numbers? What are the numbers in your business? What do the numbers look like in your business? And do you know your numbers? You're going to know your overall numbers in your business. So we're talking about your big stuff, your cost of goods, your margin, your closing ratio, your average dollar spend, that kind of stuff. And then you can drill down more. Then you can kind of drill down more. Like I'll give you an example. Big companies do things like weighted cost of capital, which I'm not going to teach you about on a Saturday morning. I love you too much to teach you about that. It's a big subject. Or they do things like revenue to headcount. That's a very common one. So if I'm looking at valuation of a company, so if I'm trying to understand how much a company's worth, or if I want to invest into a company, even this one, right? Even one of my businesses that I partly own as a private investor in SpaceX. I look at SpaceX when I was actually looking to do the deal with SpaceX and invest. I looked at how much revenue SpaceX makes, right? What's the revenue that they're making? I look at their head count that they employ, and I do a division, and I work out per head count of the business what is their revenue that they make. So some companies might make $50,000 in revenue per staff member. Some might make 100, some might make $1 million, some might make 3,000 or whatever it may be. I look at the revenue per head count sometimes in businesses, and that gives me an understanding of their growth. Now, you might have some years where they're spending a lot more money in staff members, so you see that change. But over a forecast period, over a 5-year period, or looking back on 5 years, it can really help you to value a company, right? I use one of these as a metric for me to value a company. What is the revenue that person is making per staff member, right? You can look at that as per team member. So there's lots of kind of cool things you can do around numbers to understand. You might have heard things like, when I heard people say things like, they might say things like it's worth multiplier of revenue, right? So they might say you might hear them say things like, it's worth, the company is trading at 8 times multiplier. I've heard people talk about things like that. These are all ratios and numbers that people use to work out whether a company is overvalued. So whether they're looking at the balance sheet of a company and they're saying, okay, let's have a look at how much assets are on there. Let's have a look at how much debt is on there. They might say that let's have a look at how much they're trading versus their debt. They're all important factors when somebody's looking to be able to invest into a business, and that's important for you to start to understand as well. I'm going to let you know something about this. I knew nothing about numbers when I first started. I knew nothing about numbers. I was totally illiterate when it comes to numbers, and it ended up in some pretty bad situations for me when it comes to not knowing my numbers. And the problem with that is that it was some things that I could have prevented if I understood this. Now what I'm teaching you is knowing your numbers, is understanding more about what is the right thing to do in your business. So if you're in a crisis at the moment and you're going, shit, I need to make some money. Well, what money is good money? And don't say any money, because that's bullshit. Because if you have to discount something to go and sell something and work your ass off, and you think about all the labor involved in this and this and this and this and this, and you might turn over some revenue, but you're spending more money than you are making it, then it's not good money. Or you could turn over less money. I've got some businesses that I own, right, that turn over, let's say 6 or 7 figures, right? Nothing massive. And that might have a profit margin of 70 or 80%, which means that if we make $1 in the business, we keep 80 cents. I've got other businesses that could turn over 8 figures, or investments that I have that turn over 9 figures or even 10 figures, and they keep 3 cents in the dollar. There's a big difference. 3 cents in the dollar, or some that don't even trade at a profit that turn over 8 or 9 figures or plus. So you've got to understand the numbers in your business. Really critically important, especially if you want to buy businesses and grow and scale. That's also incredibly important as well. But knowing your numbers, knowing your numbers. So one of the tasks I'd love all of you to do is don't guess. Don't give me a guesstimation, right? Actually spend some time working out your numbers. What's your average closing, what's your closing ratio? What's your average dollar per spend? What is your net margin, right? What's your gross margin? What's your cost of goods? If you sell multiple products and multiple services, you should know your cost of goods. You should know your margin on each one of those. So we know what to sell. We know what to market. We know what to speak to people about, right? You got to know those numbers as well. Does that make sense? So one of the things I'd love you to do, whether it's today, whether it's Monday, whatever you're going to do this thing, is I'd love to start to understand more and more about your numbers, and understand in your numbers, start to understand what is it, what products sell the most, where do you make your money, what are you left with, and don't just wait for your accountant to say to you, hey, this is what you're left with today, right? You have to take control of this. You have to be the one that controls how much. You have to be the one that knows how much money you're making, not just waiting for the quarter or waiting for the year end. Does that make sense? So we're talking about numbers today. Any number you can think of, know your numbers. Work it out. Know your numbers. Learn your ratios. Learn your profit ratios, your net margins, learn your cost of goods, all that stuff that just sounds like it's really tough. I'll tell you this, you're never going to become wealthy without knowing your fucking numbers. So if you don't like it, bad luck. That's just how it is. Know your numbers. And who knows, you might make a shit ton of money and keep it. Keep it. Wouldn't that be fun? Right? Volume, turnover. Volume is vanity. Profit is sanity. Volume's vanity, profit sanity. That's what it's about. Volume's vanity, profit sanity. I don't give a shit about how much you turn over. I care about how much you keep. How much is going to you, to your family, to growing your life. That's what I care about, right? Volume's vanity, profit is sanity. That's what these numbers are about. So listen, as unsexy as it might be to talk about numbers, bad luck, we're going to know it. What is your closing ratio? What is your average dollar per spend, right? What's your margins? What's your cost of good? Got to know it. Volume's vanity, profit is sanity. Don't get sucked into people going, oh, look, I turn over this. I don't give a shit how much you turn over. I care about how much you keep. So don't be a dickhead. Don't be an idiot. Understand your numbers. If you don't understand your numbers, you're screaming down a freeway with your helmet on backwards. You're about to crash into the side of the wall. Because as soon as there's a turn, there's a curve, you're going to crash into the side of the wall. And going through a crisis like this, or going through challenges around the world when you're doing businesses in other countries and other states, you've got to know your numbers. You've got to know what's happening in your business. If you don't, all you're doing is turning over money, sending it up to the government, sending it down to your team members, sending it out to your suppliers, and you're left with 2 parts of fuck all. And that's how it works. Make sense? All right, questions time. Quick questions about anything. Could be about numbers. I don't mind. Could be about anything. Let's do this. What question have you got today for our Stand Together Live? Right. What do you got? Yeah, you got to know. Yeah, too many people talk about their turnover. Absolutely. It's about profit. Absolutely. Profit sanity, Jay. Yes, Sam, exactly. Clarity, direction, better knowing your numbers, absolutely. Sarah, love it. Yep, got to know your numbers, 100%. Got to know your numbers. All right, let's get some volume, vanity, profit, sanity, 100%, Grania. Go ahead and throw the questions in. Any question you guys have got for me, you've got me for another couple of minutes before I need to go and make my family eggs. I'm making eggs on Saturdays too. I like eggs. What do you got? My children are going to come start scratching at the door over there, right? What have you got? Questions coming in. Love it. Lots of questions coming in. Question from JJ. How do you track your numbers? Good question, mate. So for me, what I do, now I'm going to tell you what I do and I'm going to tell you what I did, because it's really important when you are talking to people that when you're starting a business or you're growing a business, you've got to work out what people did and what they do. So what I do right now, there's something I look at. If I can measure something in my business, I want you to understand this. If I can measure something in my business, then I want to monitor that in my business. Now, I monitor that through dashboards. So I run live dashboarding software. So if you have a CRM, if you don't have a CRM, get a CRM, Jay. So if you've got a CRM, you've got to make sure that CRM directly connects into dashboarding software. So there's tons of tools out there. I use Graphly, for example. That works directly with Keep, with Infusionsoft. I use that for a ton of stuff. And that gives me live dashboards. So for example, right now I'm on my phone, so I can't do this, but I've got tons of these boards in my office. I've got tons of these boards in my home office, my work office, and on my phone. I can see instantly, live, real time, the numbers that are happening via dashboards. So you've got to find a program, or you can build one. If you're a bit bigger, you can speak to a company that builds dashboards, and you've got to be able to build something that gives it to you real time. Here's why you have to understand this is important. People lie. Either through themselves just lying about something, or them forgetting something. So if you're asking for numbers from your team, you're inherently creating a system that doesn't work. You can't wait for your team member to say to you, oh, Aaron, I closed at this ratio. Or Aaron, here's what happens. It's bullshit. I want to know the actual numbers. So the way that I track my numbers is I have a live dashboard of numbers. Now, brace yourself. I have over 250 dashboards, right, that run across my empire of businesses. That's a lot of fucking dashboards. Then inside the dashboards, there's a whole bunch of widgets and gadgets and things like that. You would have probably seen some in the back of my videos before. So I have those. Now, if you're not there yet, then you need to get some basic dashboards. So if you've got any CRM or software, you should be able to get ones that connect directly into a live dashboard for you that gives you the real numbers. Now, here's why it's important to have real numbers. When you've got real numbers as an empire owner, you can make real decisions. The only way that I can run, I can have 44 investments, of which almost half of those are directly under management and control on a daily basis, then I need to be able to make decisions, right? Some businesses like SpaceX, I don't call up Elon and say, buddy, I want you to launch a rocket on this month. I'm a minority shareholder, right? Which means I don't have the ability to say to him, launch the rocket on this date. I still can see what the company is doing. I'm still part of the investors, but I don't need to understand the dashboard daily. I need to understand those figures coming through quarterly. But in the business that I fully control, or I majorly control, I've got to see those figures real time so I can make adjustments. So dashboards, get away from spreadsheets, get away from human error, get away from your team texting you numbers. All that's nice as a management tool for them to text you and say, hey, here's what I've done. But it's not worth it, because you see, like, I wake up early, right? As you all know. If I'm up at 4:30, and I'm exercising like I was this morning, I was down the beach, right? I live across from the beach. I was swimming the beach this morning. If I want to look at my numbers at 5:30 in the morning when it's dark in Melbourne on my phone and check out some numbers and things that are happening in my business, then send a voice message off to somebody, say, hey, what's going on over here? Why aren't we doing this? Hey, well done on this. I can do that all through my dashboards. I have to wait for team members to give me numbers. Also leaves me to be mobile as well. Make sense? So dashboards. That's how I track my numbers. I don't use Excel spreadsheets. Yeah, a few of you guys asked about numbers. I've answered all your questions in one. So yeah, make a list of your products and services. Yep, and break them down to their numbers. Absolutely, Stephen. So a list of your products, list of your services, and you go, okay, how much do I make each one of them? But remember, mate, you've got cost of goods, which is how much does it cost me to do X service? But then you've got to think about, on top of that, then you've got not just your labor. You've then got rent, utilities, marketing, all of that stuff comes into your actual net for each one of those as well. Hope that makes sense. Excellent. Mandy, what do you got? Which one do you know? Which one do you grow first if you were chosen between business or building a personal brand? Well, it depends. I mean, if your business has no brand, I would be growing my business brand. I'll be growing my business brand. If I'm starting off today and I've got a business that I've just launched, I'm trying to grow my business brand, I would be growing my business and I'm trying to make money. I'll be doing that. Yeah, that's what I'd be doing. So I would be focusing on. I'll be focusing on anything that you can drive revenue with. If you're going to turn your personal brand into a profit center, which means you make money from your personal brand, so maybe you're a speaker or you consult or something like that, then I would be leading with that, right? And doing more of that. But if you're making profit in your business, the question to me is, where do I spend my money that's going to make me the most profit right now? And the answer would be your business. It's going to be your business brand. So focus on your business brand. I'll be spending money on growing that right now. And then I would then put a plan together for your personal brand as well. Unless your personal brand is your moneymaker. Does that make sense? That's where there's a differentiating factor as well. Love that. We've talked about numbers today. Great questions from you guys, and loved hanging out with us. Listen, we're talking about numbers. Know your ratios, know your numbers. You got to understand this: volume, vanity, profit, sanity. I don't care about how much you turn over. I care about how much you keep. I don't care how many people you employ. I care about how much profit you make. Volume is vanity. Profit is sanity. That is what's critical for everybody. Does that make sense? Speak with your accountant, speak with your bookkeeper, do some research, get a mentor. All these things are important. When I first started business, I came out of being a sales guy. So I was all like turnover. And then guess what? That didn't work out for me because I was having money going out the other door because I wasn't paying attention to that. So you're going to understand it. Numbers, know your numbers. Critically that we know your numbers. If you don't, sit down, work your numbers out, make sure you're on top of it as well. All right. Much love to all of you. Go and make sure you are sharing this and make sure that you are sharing this to anyone that needs to hear this right now. And we are standing together because that's what this is about, right? Hanging out, standing together and kicking some butt. All right, much love to you all. Have an amazing day. I'll see you tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, 8 a.m. for another Stand Together. See you all then. Bye.